Hello, sir.
Very nice to see you tonight. Now, just for the benefit of the audience who'll be joining us as we go, um, you and I met just the other day by phone, and we had a really good chat as if we were separated brothers at birth. Although I'm a bit older than you, right enough. You're making me, you know, I don't know how much older. I'm not even going to guess. Actually, don't make me guess. But no, how old are you, AJ? Out of curiosity.
I'm 39.
39. So yeah, you're a young man, and I'm 55. So, and we're both sticking in hours to this thing to make some magic happen. So the title of this is obviously Synergies, Strategies and Solutions. And we want to talk about that. There's a lot of heads down at the moment, as you know, AJ. I would like to hope that you and I and others like us are working on solutions. I know we are, and I know you are. Let's talk about it and put it on the table, because there's some things that people need a bit of hope, and I think if we can talk about that. But anyway, a lot of our viewers know you and follow you, and for any of our members who don't, I'm going to be recommending them to follow you as well. So let's go back to your army times, or do you want to start before the army? Because I know you were in the Royal Engineers at age 19. So that was that your first job?
No, it wasn't my first job. So, firstly, thanks for having me on your show, mate.
No
It's
problem. My
you know,
pleasure.
it's fantastic what you're doing, and you've got a fantastic following and a fantastic audience, and all doing fantastic things. So, I first want to say thanks for having us on. So yeah, my journey didn't just start really in the army. I left school and immediately was playing football at Bournemouth. Unfortunately, got injured, and probably a couple of, well, maybe 5 6 months away from turning pro. It was very much on the cards. It was a great prospect, and that's all I ever wanted to do. And unfortunately, things come to a very sudden end. And yeah, it was, I thought it was like the end of my life. All I wanted to do was play football. It's
Yeah,
all I did.
absolutely.
All I did as a kid. I was as soon as coming from school, I was just throwing my bag down, straight out playing football. Homework wasn't really a thing. It was like a swear word to me.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Were
and
you
that's all.
were you
That's
were
all I
you
was interested
decent?
in.
Were you quite decent?
Yeah,
Well, you must have been decent if you get. What was it? Bournemouth? Did you say?
yeah. I was at Bournemouth. Yeah, but
Yeah, good.
they weren't the club that they are now. That kind of stature, but obviously a fantastic stepping stone, and that's where I'm from originally. So it's a bit of a no-brainer. And yeah, unfortunately got injured and things didn't work out, and I went down a slippery slope. Got involved with the wrong crowds and started started off drinking way too much, and then next thing it led to like recreational drugs and stuff like that. To the point where I almost landed in jail, and it was because I'd actually inquired about joining the military. It was basically my saving grace. So I ended up joining the military, bit of an ultimatum really, and the guys that I got arrested with ended up going to prison. So um, I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason. It kind of opened my eyes up to you know getting yourself onto the right path. And the military done that for me.
Yeah, well done. And you spent, was it 19 years or something in the military?
50, yeah, 15 years in total. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was the Royal Engineers, and was that everything you expected it to be? I mean, obviously you hung around, so you must have enjoyed it, but I assume that kind of formed you into the person that you are today. That's a lot of
Mm.
your life you spent there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think our experiences and our environments absolutely shape us. As many people will know, you are the product of your environment. Um, but you've got to really make the most of it at the same time. So there's professions everywhere around the world where you can kind of find yourself in that job, but like kind of just coast all the way through. Some people are happy doing that, but just that kind of thing wasn't really for me. Never was. I was always doing something, whether it's adventure training or volunteering to go somewhere. It was I just wanted to get the most out of it. So, and as a result of that, I got to do some and see some amazing places around the world. I got to sail up the east coast of Denmark, and there just happened to be a festival on every night. Um, You know, rock climbing in the Rockies, skied in the Rockies in Canada, swam with
And a
whale
lot of good
sharks.
friends there. You'd have made a lot of good
Yeah,
friends in the army.
And again, you
And
get the
are they
camaraderie
awake
side of
to
it's
what's
amazing.
going on? Are your friends awake to what's going on?
Not all of them, no. The thing is, I've got a brother who's still military, and he's so institutionalized that doesn't pay attention to anything really that's going on the outside. It's kind of just like I'm a soldier first, and that's it. And a lot of people that are in just do as they're told. So I get a lot of people in the military now, especially, are messaging me, and they've got a lot of concerns because
Is that picking up? Do you think? Would you
yeah.
say that there's an increase in that?
Oh, massive, yeah.
Yeah,
It's gone from a
yeah.
few people.
I'm seeing that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I've gone from a few people sporadically to now so many people are seeing my podcast, for example, and obviously being military, they're messaging me saying that, you know, they're just totally fed up. They're just getting fed up of being coerced by their superiors into to having the jabs, and they're fed up of being threatened with their careers and future promotion prospects. And obviously, I'm even getting people messaging me saying that they want to try and take legal action because they were coerced into it, and now they've got horrendous side effects. You know, and some people neurological disorders and stuff like that. And I know
Yeah.
three people now in the military that have had a heart problem from it. So
Well, this is the challenge, AJ, isn't it? Because the government, in order to get their no jab, no job, which seems to be the direction of travel around the world, the government's one of the biggest employers in the UK. So for them to get private businesses to go down a no jab, no job route, they need to do it themselves, which means that the military, the police, the councils, the NHS, all of these workers are going to come first.
yeah,
Because the government is, and I think after this, I think after COP26, they're going to pull the shutters down really, really fast. I think we're going to be into a double agenda now of, you know, COVID, Marburg, whatever else. I saw you posted on Marburg the other day as well. We're going to have that. We're going to have COVID. We're going to have Christmas. We're going to have fear of losing out on Christmas, and we're going to have the whole COP26. Let's scare the living daylights out of them. The world is going to end. And I mean, I grew up at a time. I mean, as I said, I'm older than you. I grew up with the threat of nuclear war over our head. That was our keep those young men in their box, make them scared. We were scared that there was going to be a nuclear war and we were going to be evaporated into dust. And that's what they were basically told us. Looking back, there was no chance these people were going to destroy the planet in that way. There was no chance it was ever going to happen. That was a nightmare scenario they created for us. And I really, really feel bad for these young kids just now who are growing up with us. I don't think, because it's been such a shock to us, I don't think we're actually looking at how these kids are dealing with it. They're not.
no,
They seem to be getting on with it, but I think they need a lot of help, and this government is not helping them, and these teachers are not helping them. I don't think in many ways. I mean, I don't know if you saw. Did you see that one the other day with the teacher talking in school about anti-vaxxers and all that stuff? I don't know if you. Absolutely disgusting, and somebody just told me today that their daughter had started at uni, and the teacher, the first course of the first lesson of the year was based on anti-vaxxers and what makes them tick and the psychology of them, and really selling it down the river, painting you in this terrible picture. So it's a terrible state of affairs, but we want to try and focus on the solutions to it, because problems need solutions, don't they? And this is the challenges that we face. Now, after the army, you went on to do business, AJ, and quite a successful consultant. You do sort of, it's like speaking, coaching. You do coaching for individuals and for business. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly that. It's not so much going in and like picking up someone's business from the start, and completely giving it a shakeover and just going in through it that direction. It's very much getting the business owners and the executives parts of said businesses, or even in little corporates as well, really hammering home a growth mindset and implementing strategies that way that actually massively improves the business from the inside.
Yeah.
Although I have helped a lot of businesses start from scratch, to go from pretty much zero to quite substantial income. And I like to do it kind of through a military mindset lens, which I guess gives it that point of difference. Gives it that robustness as well, because some people just want to have that kick up the arse, I guess. And I think if they can get that from someone who's been in the military, that they put someone on on a really strong accountability path, to bigger and better things within themselves and for
I
the
can
business.
see, but I can see how that would work. Somebody in the military telling you, giving you orders on what to do in your business. I think you take them. I think that would work. I know you would do it in a nice way. I say that loosely, but I can see why that would work.
Yeah, and it's great, and I work with some fantastic people who just want to succeed, but at the same time, I love doing group coaching as well. So I'm running a group coaching program at the moment, what I called Stronger Together, and it's basically loads of people, probably very similar to you have in your audience, that are just at a point where they feel like they're on their own. They feel isolated, cut off. No one's listening to them, because everything that's going on, all the family are running off, getting like 25 jabs each and that, and it just gets like frustrating. And it's just wanted to create a community, really nice, tight knit community where over 10 weeks that I can take people on a journey from being very low in confidence, like not much self belief, they're just like lacking in their strength and stuff like that, and just really help them excel to much higher levels. And just in the space of a few weeks, you can see the difference just from being in a very like-minded community who are very supportive of each other. The difference that makes, alone, let alone the tasks to set them, is quite quite unique and really important.
We're finding that in our group, that kind of like-minded people, that they're enjoying they're enjoying being together, even if it's online. But we're trying to get them to connect locally, and this is why we talked to Fee at Standing Apart. I know you've met Fee. She's really good. I heard their Facebook group get taken down to.
Really?
Yeah, I heard their Facebook group get taken down today. So that was not ideal, but that's the kind of thing that's happening out there as they try and censor.
Yeah.
And that's a very friendly group. Why would they be getting shut down? A group that meets and stands in the park every week. Why go for them?
But I mean, if this is exactly what people who are kind of sat on the offence, maybe starting to ask questions, like surely you must see things like that and say, what is the need to try and keep these people quiet who are just doing something extremely innocent? And there's no real malice or anything to anybody. It's just very much a community. And isn't that what Facebook's supposed to be about? Community, and yeah, it just really baffles me. And I don't know if I mentioned on the call last time, I've already had one YouTube channel taken down previously that had several thousand subscribers, and when you're hovering over the target, because it was a particular episode that I did with Karen Kingston, who used to work for Pfizer, and she's been on the Stu Peters show several times, and she basically come armed to the teeth with loads of slides and basically showing exactly what was in these shots, with the graphene oxide and all that kind of the hydrogel and the pattern, where you can find the patterns on it, and everything she shared was from like the FDA, CDC, some proper official websites in the States where you can find patterns and that, and also the MHRA in the UK. And she was sharing stuff from these areas, and obviously it got shut down and said that it was sharing misinformation.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And I had the same problem. Yeah, I had the same thing on my Instagram the other day. I literally shared a clip of my podcast with Peter McCulloch, and all he was reciting was from the FDA and the CDC website, talking about pregnant women not having these jabs and why it's very dangerous. And he said the FDA and CDC have categorized pregnant women as category X, meaning that they should not at any stage have these jabs because of the sheer risk to complications versus the risk of A, getting COVID, and then B, let alone even being hospitalized from it. But over here in the UK, and I know it's been bad in Scotland as well, is that there's such a big push from like midwives and these departments in hospitals to jab as many pregnant women as possible. It's absolutely disgusting. You see posters of it in doctor surgeries and stuff like that, saying why it's important that pregnant women to get it, and people being coerced. I've seen videos and that. It's horrendous. So if you don't get it, you've got such a big chance that your kid can get your unborn child can get COVID. How are you going to live with yourself? It's just beyond comprehension.
It's really, well, I watched it just as they were coming out, and they're talking about the MHR. Is it the MHRA, the UK organisation that approved the vaccine? And they were getting asked questions by the press, and they got asked a question, and the first question, one of the questions was, "Is it safe for pregnant women?" And I was watching very closely, AJ, because I knew they were at it. I mean, deep down, we're human lie detectors, aren't we? You know when someone's lying, and you know when someone's telling the truth. Now, the woman who headed this up, she looked evil. She looked like a Bond villain, actually, to be honest. I just didn't like the look of her at all. And then she said, it is okay, but we'd recommend that all women should speak to their doctor and decide. All pregnant women should speak to the doctor and them decide. Now, that was basically outsourcing the problem from the government institution down to doctor. What's the doctor meant to know about a new vaccine that they're rolling out? What's he going to say? And what's it going to be based on? Then that woman makes a decision with her pregnant baby based on the particular doctor that she's got, not based on government guidelines, not based on the companies. Just the doctor says, yeah, I think you should take it. Next minute she takes it. They are authority figures, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's been the problem. We've seen it all along, haven't we? Like everyone's just like, no, I ain't listening to you. I'm going to listen to my doctor. And we know, like, it's not a secret that many of all GPs have been getting like between 12 and 16 pound for every jab that they give. Now, when this was at the highest, when it first rolled out, obviously, I know people were being turned away, couldn't get an appointment. But if you think about it from a monetary point of view, if you're a GP sitting there like, yeah, cheers, sticking another 50, 60 grand a year on top of your salary because you can jab as many people as possible, because that's pretty much what happened. That's why you couldn't get appointments, because you've got an ingrown toenail and stuff like that, because the doctor ain't getting paid any more money for you going there with your ingrown toenail. And it's as simple as that. And it's and then obviously they're then getting a tenner bonus, aren't they, on top of that for
kids,
for jabbing kids.
It's just absolutely horrible. And you heard this week about the two kids who, and it's horrible to talk about, but this stuff is going to be impossible to deny very soon. And I think that's a bit why there's a rush on, to be honest. I think that's why they're rushing to roll this out as fast as is humanly possible. Because if they did it slowly, more people would twig on the way through.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how many kids had heart attacks in a week when you were at school, AJ. Can you remember? Do you remember that week when two kids had a heart attack or died?
No, it's I don't. I even spoke to parents about this. Like, I don't remember any kid in my lifetime having heart attacks and dying. I don't remember any kid having a heart issue or a sudden neurological problem and collapsing in the classroom in front of their schoolmates. To the extent of what we're seeing now, not in my lifetime, not my parents' lifetimes, and you can't hide it. I don't care like how much you want to try and pretend it's not a major issue, and a lot of people that try and deny it are people that have had the jabs themselves, and it comes from a place of emotion, and that's just the black and white of it. That's not me just beating
That's
around the bush.
100% the case. Yeah,
That
that's
is
right.
it's just the black and white of it. I have these arguments every day. The people who comment on like my social media posts, for example, saying it's all shit, this, that, and the other, I could add them all up, and every single one of them have been jabbed themselves, because they're just speaking from a place of emotion, because they don't want to admit the fact that they actually could be wrong, or what the choice they've made is, well, I wouldn't say wrong or right. It's and this is what I've been saying for a long time,
It's
is
their
that
choice, isn't it?
it's
Ultimately,
their
it is
choice,
their choice.
100%. Yeah, and and it
But they were
always is about that.
coerced. They were
Yeah,
coerced,
exactly.
and
Exactly.
they didn't get the informed
Mm.
information, choice information that they should have.
Yeah,
And they have been threatened now with no jab, no job. I mean, how can you live in a world where no jab, no job? Did you ever think you'd hear those words in the UK? You don't take this, you will lose your job. It's unbelievable.
No, and like I've actually, it's amazing how quickly people change their tune, because I've spoken to people about nurses and everything expected to have this, and straight away they're like, well, at the end of the day, if they're working around all these people and that, they need to be vaccinated to protect them, etc., etc. And I'm like, well, at no point were they mandated to get the flu jab ever, and flu was rife. Over 60,000 people died of flu in Jan 2018. When we weren't wearing masks, and social distancing and fighting amongst each other, and grassing our neighbours up. um, it's and when that was a serious issue, and there's no difference. They've never been mandated to have to do any of this. Now you're talking about, you're mandating someone, a human being, you're mandating them to say you can only work and feed your family, pay your rent if you have this inoculation, which is still in trial. There's no data, safety data, and the disease, for a disease itself, which has a 99.7% survival rate.
I saw a brilliant video today. It was a nurse in South Australia. I'll send it to you, AJ. The woman was brilliant. She just, that way when somebody speaks passionately, and she wasn't having it. The press were around her. They were trying different angles to maybe trip her up or make her feel bad. She was on the money. She was so hard. She was so honest, and she just spoke out. She just stood there and she said, and do you know why she did it? And this is the problem that we've got to a certain extent, and it's a good thing and a bad thing. They were forced to do it. They're right up. They've lost their jobs, basically 30 years in the health service over there. Now they've been told you will lose your job without pay. You're gone. Forget it. Your career has ended. Now they're out in the streets. Now they're speaking up. But she spoke up brilliantly. But they should have spoke up before. But it doesn't matter. Better late than never. And this is kind of what we touched on earlier. We have an opportunity. This is about strategy and solutions. There are going to be a lot of government employees. This government are going to go for no jab, no job on their own employees first. They're going to lead from the front, and they think they're going to get away from it. But we all know people who work for the government in some shape or form, with councils, and they get council. Every council job, every police, fireman, NHS, you name it. They're all going to be asked to do it, because the government, if this is a global policy, which it is, then no jab, no job seems to be the global direction of travel. If you look around the world, that's what they're aiming for, because it is the ultimate coercion. It's very, very hard to say no. To say no, you have to give up your job and accept it, and hit the streets and become one of us. Which they don't want to do. So, but they are forced to. They've got no choice now, and those people are going to swell our ranks. I don't necessarily see them hitting the streets, AJ, and protesting in that respect. But I see them speaking up, and I see them joining groups, and I see them speaking out, and I think that's just as important. I think that's the first wave of it, isn't it? You've got to find your voice first before you find your ways to take action or your ways to put that first boot on the ground protest.
Yeah,
I mean,
agree.
I don't know. Would you have been to protests before this? I know you've been to quite a few, but would you have been to protests before this COVID pandemic?
I mean, if it's something I truly believed in, then yeah, I would have done. But I think the first time I went, I was actually saying, I was just like, if someone had told me a couple of years ago that I'd be walking through the streets of London and protest against like government overreach and you know, the same governments that I went to Iraq and Afghan for and stuff like that, I would have told you to turn around and go in the other direction. But here we are.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Well, I'm the same. I mean, I used to my wife used to go and protest and stuff like that, and I used to think that's just mad. You know,
yeah.
the Iraq war protest. I mean, look how many people they had out there, and that was a big protest.
But I'll tell you what, though, when you actually, you know, and I'm sure everybody like watching and listening who's been to the London protests and stuff like that will actually will agree that in the past, if you've ever seen a protest on TV, is actually is you only see what they want you to see, don't you? So when you're actually there, you know, you actually get a proper feel for it. You know what it's about. You know why you're there. And I found this in the first time I went. I saw a BBC reporter taking photos from like strange angles, and I asked her. I said, "Oh, you know, who you work for?" She says, "Oh, I'm here with the BBC." And I said, "Oh, I hope you hopefully can report on the size of this then, because this is absolutely massive. Like, there's easily 1 million people here." And she said, "Oh, look, I'm totally for everything you're doing. I think it's great. I totally believe in what you're doing, but I won't be reporting on the size of the numbers." I was like, "So what are you doing then?" She goes, "Oh, I'm just taking photos of people not wearing masks and not social distancing, so it looks bad." That's her exact words. And then cast your mind back to all those years ago when you see protesters on TV for whatever reason, and you sat behind your TV going, "Oh, what a bunch of idiots," because you're only seeing what the news wants you to see and the picture that they want to sell.
100%. And there's a little good morning from Australia. So I don't know where this is from, but obviously Australia. But what state they're in?
Oh yeah, that's
Now,
Matt. Matt's top man. He's
yeah,
yeah, he's
he's
obviously they're having a rough time over there. So I've got a lot. I used to live in Australia for a little bit myself, obviously, and I've got quite a few Australians and Kiwis that follow my socials and that. So
yeah, good.
yeah, it's they're having a rough time. And you know, and I've said many occasions, like to everyone in my network in the UK, you know, please pay attention to what's going on over there. It's absolutely tragic. But yeah, I think we're at the point now where um, solutions are very much needed for problems. And the last couple of weeks, like me and my team of a fantastic people with amazing skill sets. You know, majority are ex-military, although we've got some amazing people from other sectors working with us. I've been implementing some strategies, like kind of like on the front line, let's call it, with great effect. So what I'm in the process of doing is my website guy is basically building an open forum type thing to attach to my website. Now, on that is going to be basically loads of sections. It's going to have like FAQs. So, you know, probably like yourself, you know, get inundated with DMs every single day. I'll probably get between 150 to 200 just on Instagram alone, and it's there's a lot of people from New Zealand and Australia now asking. Obviously, I can't answer them all myself, but you know, but at the same time, I'm very much about, like yourself, you know, we're very much about helping one to many. There's a lot of people that have very similar problems. So everything from, because cases have gone up in our area, our employers now saying we've got to wear masks at work. You know, it's a load of crap. Blah, 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 what can I do? So you could go on the website and it will say, my boss is making me wear a mask at work. What can I do? Bosh, use this template letter. You know, it's a proper legal letter. And then, you know, the next thing could be, you know, I don't want to have to get vaccinated. They're saying I've got to have a vaccine by this date. What can I do? Here you go, legal document. Here. These are the steps you need to take. And it's just going to be like, it's a working document, I guess, a working page in essence.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be allowing So basically, I'm in a fantastic group of scientists and doctors from around the world that have kind of brought me into the fold because of, like, obviously my background and people I'm connected with and stuff like that around the world. So I want to utilize that and basically use my website for them to be able to come in to the forum and actually post proper articles and proper, valid, credible, peer-reviewed information that would just get taken down if someone posted it on Facebook or YouTube and stuff like that as well. So it basically like a bit of a hub.
So your own website forum gives you that sort of
Yeah.
lack of censorship that we're
Yeah.
getting on Facebook. So you've got a chance to get information out.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm getting so many messages with very similar questions. So just that one central hub, would be able to help all those people in one hit. And obviously, times the fantastic currency, it would then allow me to carry on doing like the work that we're doing, out on the ground and stuff like that, which is, we're making some great strides. So
yeah,
my one of my colleagues, former Royal Marine, kind of come up with this plan where you serve in schools notice of liabilities. Now,
I think when I phoned you the other day, you were on your way to serve. Was it a school you were on your way to serve? Yeah,
no, it was actually Virgin Care.
that's right. Yep.
Yeah, and so basically the notice of liabilities, and I've now got a proper 100 and something page, about 130 pages notice of liability, which is also a cease and desist. I've now got that, which is then going to get attached to the website. Anyone could download it. And for the record, people in Australia and New Zealand can use it as well because they come under the same kind of Crown laws, the Commonwealth laws. So
That's good. And where is that, AJ? Is that on your current website?
It's not yet. I'm about to put it on, but I've got it. I've also got these annexes to attach as well for obviously for kids being forced to wear masks.
Did you do that work yourself, or did you say you worked with solicitors or a team on that?
Yeah, so lawyers have done that. Done amazing work. Now, what we've done is we've taken notice of liabilities, and the previous ones we've taken them to schools all around the south of UK. Now, Dorset especially. Now, it's taken a kid, unfortunately, to die in Dorset, and all of the schools are then suddenly realising the seriousness of it, because that's what usually happens, doesn't it? Something serious has to happen for somebody who actually pays attention. And obviously there's been injuries as well. So they've actually stopped the rollout of vaccinations in Dorset because of all the hammering the schools with the notice of liabilities, but also it's creating a system where they need to be followed up. So it's all great giving all these notice of liabilities out everywhere. If people are just going to chuck them in the bin or just put them in the in tray and say, yeah, I'll worry about it later. So obviously they need to be followed up. Now, if anybody has an injury or dies or anything else like that, that school entity head teacher is then completely liable because they've been served an official legal notice of liability. Then they also come with evidence packs. So these evidence packs can then be filled with the evidence that you now have on said person or entity. Now, what you then need to do is you can then go to get an emergency appointment with a judge at the local court or the nearest court, because by law they have to see you because you're reporting a serious crime. You then present the evidence based off of, like, you've already issued the notice of liability. They've then carried on. They've then obviously kids have been hurt, or or people have been hurt and harmed, either fatally or life threatening, and they then, based on that evidence, should issue you an emergency arrest warrant. You take that arrest warrant to the police station. Obviously,
and that's good. Just let me touch on that, because this is good stuff, because we're right in the land of solutions, which is where we want to get to. And hold that thought, because we'll come back to that, because this is, people are interested in this. You guys stopped the rollout of vaccines in Dorset because the technique that you used was so robust. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then what you're getting is you've got evidence that you can take out, or that you've actually got a process of bringing these charges on people. So that's, again, more evidence, isn't it? Because then we can start to say, there's a head teacher who's just been charged at some point or whatever, or someone's getting the blame for what they've done. These are the kind of solutions that this is ideas in action, isn't it? That this is things actually working. I mean, that's, there's one of our viewers saying, "What? That's great news. Glad to hear it's having the right effect." That's what that's what's been missing, isn't it?
Yes.
People being served, rollout being stopped, or someone being charged with a crime when something happens to a kid. That's unfortunately where we have to get to. If a kid gets damaged, someone should get charged. That's where we have to get to fairly fast.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, so obviously the schools, like I said, in Dorset have taken that on. They've pulled out of doing so. I managed to personally get 6 or 7 schools in the south of Wiltshire to stop it as well, based on those methods. So initially, getting them to basically understand why they're being served in the first place. So I think that the approach is to always have a really calm, chilled demeanor and just say, look, because of this rollout, we're serving you this notice of liability, but it's actually to help you so that you fully understand the liabilities that would be, in place on
Absolutely. Yeah,
you.
that's a good approach, because I've seen it being done differently from that. That's good.
Yeah.
Does it help you?
Yeah, of course,
Sorry,
because at the end of the day, I mean, they're in a place of authority, but also in a place of responsibility and accountability. So, from human to human, you're just kind of actually trying to help them out so they don't go down a really slippery slope, and at the end of it, someone gets severely hurt or killed, which is what's happening all around the country. So, chances are they don't know that or have any idea, and up to that point, you don't know what kind of mindset that head teacher or beliefs that head teacher has either. So I think coming from a most neutral place possible has been the best way. So, the worst thing you can do is go in there and say, like, you're potentially going to murder people, you're being served. They're not going to read it, So,
and this was the head teacher, straight to the head teacher, yeah.
Well, I mean, you can do it to head teacher or somebody. If they're not available, you can serve like the school and give it to somebody on behalf of that head teacher. But as long as you've got somebody filming it, you've then got the video evidence to say that you have done it and they have been like formally served. And that's all you need to do. You don't need an army of people going in there so it looks intimidating.
And there is other things that you could do there, because what you've done there is the ultimate, isn't it? You said, and I've got 2 questions here. You've basically stopped them from giving the vaccines in the school, yeah. The other thing as well is, but the kids can still go and get the vaccine elsewhere. But what you're saying is the school was not a place for this vaccine. This experimental vaccine should not be happening in schools. And the teachers accepted that, and they've been able to go back to their council and say, I don't feel comfortable doing it here. It's almost like the ability not to consent. He's saying, I don't consent, basically. And he's getting away. Obviously, for them to stop, there was nothing they could do. It's he's in charge and he's not consenting to have it done there. Now, one of the other things that's happening in school, and I think I spoke to you about this as well, is these teachers having this go at anti-vax and anybody who doesn't take it. That's another thing that should be saying, your teachers should not be talking about this in the classroom. It's not their place to try and take a position one way or the other. That should be a no-go area completely, because we don't know what there's no cameras in these schools. We don't know what these people are saying to our kids. And for 8 hours a day, they're the influencer of our kid. They teach them all sorts of things. If I was a 12-year-old kid and my teacher's telling me to think one way, well, I know what I would have thought then. But a lot of kids would think, that's my teacher, I'm going to let the wee swatty kids, I'll say, I'm only kidding on, but the kids who listen to their teachers actually be influenced by them. So they have no right to talk about it. So these notices that you're serving could involve some of these other things as well, that you shouldn't be talking in the class stuff either, because that's influencing them to then go out with the school and get it, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, it's so hypocritical, isn't it? The whole thing is it's just when you talk, even when you talk about consent, it's up until now, you've needed consent and double, triple checked, with the parents to see if that they're allowed to take Calpol or paracetamol.
I know.
The whole thing's like hypocritical, and yeah, there are teachers in schools. It's quite scary, really, just how indoctrinated and brainwashed that some of them are. But it is without doubt the worst thing that they can do. I think it's a crime in itself, because it's kind of preaching, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just it's the same as somebody being very heavily religious in a particular religion and just constantly preaching it in the classroom.
Yeah, it's abuse of power. It
Yeah,
really is abuse of
absolutely,
power.
absolutely.
They're not. Who did it ever come into their contract to say that they're meant to be teaching the kids about what medical choices they could make, especially when the choice is so difficult? You know, as this one. Just going back to something, AJ, which I think is quite important, and it always gets people think. Of all the people that I would like to step up, I mean, I think the doctors and nurses could end this if they stepped up. But watching that nurse in Australia today gave me real hope that more of them will stand up and they will be forced to be listened to. And that's where we need to share it, get it out. We need to push this information out. I did a wee post on my Facebook today, and I try to keep a lot of it off my Facebook because I don't want to be banned, because then I can't do my group work, and and that's quite hard. So I've actually been banned once for one day for a Kermit the Frog meme that was had a wee joke on it. It was absolutely ridiculous, but they banned me for it, and so that was fine. But I couldn't do group work for a day, and it felt really weird, So I kind of don't abuse my own personal Facebook profile, because I spend most of my time in groups anyway. But one of the things that you said earlier that I felt always makes everybody get really motivated is the military. As I said, I think the doctors and nurses, if they stood up, could stop this, but nothing would give me greater peace of mind than more military guys coming in. Do you think that's going to happen based on what you're seeing out there? I mean, the vets are important as well, because they're still classed in the same boat.
Yeah. And we had the London protest the other day, and there was a lot of veterans there at the front wearing their berets and their banners and stuff like that. And the message is very clear that veterans won't tolerate this tyranny being.
How many turned up, do you reckon?
There was, it was probably like about 50 or 60 wearing berets, but then there was a lot of veterans that I know that were in there just in normal civilian gear. So there was a few hundred there.
Yeah.
But then there's obviously many that couldn't make it that wanted to be there. And that number's growing all the time. It's the people that I work closely with, very, very, very experienced members of the military and special forces, and that number is always growing. The people are coming forward and are waking up to the idea that something clearly needs to be done. And we've seen what kind, like you said, what kind of power it has just by having a few berets on the front of a protest.
It's a good look. It's a good look, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, and it's really
how many vets are in the UK then? Is there an official sort of number for how many? How do we get them?
That's the thing.
They'll be all different. They'll be all different ages.
Yeah, but you're talking across all services as well. They'll be all, they're all ages, but not only that, obviously you've got a large amount of vets who still aren't seeing what's going on, because even still to this day, 20 months later, I'm still got vets questioning everything that the people I have on my podcast and what they say, even though some of them are like award winners, and I've had a couple of Nobel Prize winners, and what I mean, it's still not good enough. But yeah. I'm way past having those conversations now. I don't even engage in them. Those conversations. My conversations are very much in terms of action, and that's what we've been doing over the last few weeks. So that's where we've been serving the notice of liabilities. We've been following up, and like I was saying to you on the phone last week, What we've done with our stand in the park, and this is where I suggest like everybody tries gets involved in doing this. And I've already started getting the message out there because again, it's another model that's working. Is actually have people within your stand in the park come forward, want to get involved. So it gives everybody that bit of ownership. It empowers people locally to actually have a proper role to play, and start creating a database of like all the places that are being served notice of liabilities. Have people that can serve the notice of liabilities and are confident in doing so, but also create a database where people can register who are losing their jobs, or are very likely to lose their jobs because of these mandates. So your healthcare workers and stuff like that. Now, again, that's creating solutions for problems. So we've seen this already. I've got this amazing lady who's starting it in London, and you've got nurses and healthcare workers that are already coming forward to register with this, but also it's a place where local businesses can register who want to help, who deeply want to help people that are being victims to these mandates. So we're creating solutions for many problems. Now, it also creates a space for, say, a nurse, for example, who feels that they're going to lose their job, they don't want to be a part of it anymore. They might want to leave because there is a solution there, but that will also give them an opportunity then to actually speak out about what's going on and what they've been privy to, have been silenced to and coerced to, and the things that they've seen, because that's happening every day.
They have valuable evidence, don't they?
Yeah, and I'm getting, I have nurses literally every single day from around the country, in Australia and New Zealand as well, and Canada and the States, message me every day. I had a lady message me the other day, who works down south, and she works mainly with children. She said they've had 11 kids between the age of 12 and 14 come through their doors in 2 weeks with strokes. And she said she's just a breaking point now. She's a breaking point where she's going to leave because she said she cannot be a part of that anymore. And I don't blame
parents
them.
do so much to protect their kids and they worry so much about them, this is back to they're being sent in thinking that they're doing a good thing because they haven't seen any bad news.
Yeah.
And then they get that. Imagine the shock to the system. I mean, you worry about your kids getting them out of your sight for a second. You worry about all sorts of things, but if your mind is telling you that this is a good thing, I mean, they're not doing it for the wrong reasons. I'd say 95% of them actually believe they're doing a very, very good thing. They think they're protecting them and that they're going to end up in a much safer place, but they're not gaining that protection. And the odd one and rising is taking that risk that their kid might not be there, or it might be a different kid that comes back from school for life, a complete changed kid.
Exactly that.
Doing the right.
Yeah, and that's what we've seen with the young lad in the West Midlands. Who died a couple of weeks back, and there's a group of people that have obviously acted on behalf of the family. Went to the police station, and they actually had charges of murder accepted, and they got a crime number. So against the school, which is obviously big news. I haven't heard anything more of it yet, but
that's worth following up on because those crime numbers are important. I know Mark Sexton has been in. Who else? Michael have been this year. They were trying to get a number for something as well. But when you get these numbers, it's an official complaint.
Yeah.
They open a case, and there's a suspected crime has been committed.
Yeah. And this is the thing. Again, this is all the action that needs to be taken. So just going back to what I was saying earlier, from a local point of view, if you can actually get people creating a database that obviously where they can store the information of who's been served, where, etc. They can obviously they need people that can go out and do the serving. They also create a database of people that are going to be losing their jobs and stuff like that, and then also a place where businesses can register, because what that's doing is you're really getting in there in the community, and you're also getting like businesses educated on what the serious problems are, and you're also then almost preempting them for what's to come if they do roll the passports out, to not be ahead of it, and to be way ahead of the game, and then like want to turn it down straight away and not be part of it. So that can all be done at a local level, like from the stand in the parks and the people that are within them. It just takes a little bit of organisation within those groups, like we've done here where I am, and it's working really, really well. And then, like, once the first arrest happens, which is going to be soon, trust me.
Good.
It just opens the floodgates then for people to see the working model working.
Yeah.
You made reference earlier to our call we had on Friday. As we, just after our call, I was in the process of serving Virgin Care with some of the local guys. We served them, and the correspondence we got was they weren't going to be going out, but then literally my kids' school, and I've seen a couple of people message on here earlier, a comment that they're turning up in their kids' school as well. So let them do it, because they've been served, and if they carry on doing it, I've got the whole system that's watertight and works. So if you're one of the managing directors of Virgin Care that I served and you're watching, good luck.
And you think there's going to be arrests soon at some point? We're going to actually see some arrests at some point?
Yeah, 100%. At the end of the day, the process works. The process is there for a reason. If you got evidence that a person's been harmed and a judge won't give you a emergency arrest warrant, then there's obviously a reason why that judge won't do that. Because everything's there. We've validated this with serving members of the police, ex-police, lawyers.
That's a conviction comes after the arrest, because again, the charge is the thing. Even charges being raised are enough. The court case can come later, but we can spread the news on charges. Headmaster charge, teacher charged, all of that kind of stuff. Charges are very, very important, because that's where the police, if the evidence is there, they have processes to follow.
Yeah.
And if they don't follow, they can't pick and choose what crimes are crimes.
Yeah.
That's where you go. You're trying to prove that a crime was committed and that someone is liable and they've actually committed the crime.
Yeah, and I think up until now, and everyone probably watching this is just like, how are these people still doing this? And I think it's people. I use people in the military, for example, who are actively telling their subordinates, you need to go and get jabbed, or you're not going to promote, and you're not going to do this. You're not going to be deployable. So you're just going to end up working in a store for the rest of your life, because that's what some people are being told. They message me and tell me this. I've had video calls with some of them who just like can't believe what is going on. People like Marines and paras and people like that who want to go special forces are being told that they've got to be jabbed to go and do like special forces selection. One of the most arduous 6th month experiences that anybody will ever have in their life, and it's just, it literally blows my mind. So again, a lot of these people in the military just following orders, which we know doesn't wash when it comes to the court of law, and that will not save them. So there is things happening in the background where people in the military are going to face legal action. And again, it only takes that one person to have the legal action taken against them for it to suddenly wake up all the other seniors and officers who are coercing the people in the military and in the police to actually step back and go, actually, now I don't want to be liable for this. Because that's what's happening. I mean, people suddenly think that they're not going to be liable for anything because no one's been in trouble yet. And like the other way around, there's nothing wrong with these jabs until someone goes man down and has a heart attack, or or dies, or has a serious adverse reaction.
And then they realise why the paperwork. They realised then why the paperwork was being served.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and that it was real.
Yeah. So
AJ, you there about the interviews that you've done, and you've interviewed a lot of really good people. You've actually managed to get a lot of really good people, and you've had some great interviews with them. I know you wouldn't be able to pick favourites or anything like that, but is there anybody that you've spoke to where, when you spoke to them from a solutions perspective, you felt that they came out with some ideas and you thought, you know what, that's something else that's happening that gave you personally some hope about potential ways out of this?
I think in terms of ways out, I think that it's kind of like a work in progress, if you know what I mean, and it kind of evolves week to week. But I think the one I did with Dr. Peter McCulloch only a few weeks ago, I thought that was like really, really good, because he made references to about 30 to 40 different papers, that peer review papers have been written about every little sort of point that we touched on. I'm gonna have to get it transcribed, because it was absolutely fantastic, because there was just so much gold information in there. It was unbelievable. Sorry, man. I seem to have lost your sound there. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can't hear you, mate. You suddenly just stopped. Let's have a quick look. Can you hear me right? Yeah, your sound seems to have gone, Steve. Looks like Facebook are onto you.
AJ.
Hello.
Back. I think we're back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, got you.
Can everybody hear us? I think we're back. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there, actually. That's never happened before. They call it the AJ Roberts effect, I think. These were sent to challengers. Okay, so I had to reboot the on, but the chat will come back, but that's fine. Okay, so the military, what percent do you think might say no to a no jab situation?
Well, to be honest, like there's probably a lot that are already jabbed. To be honest, like a very high amount.
Yep.
I know the people that have messaged me said they're holding out, and they're literally like, there's only one or two of them in the whole troop that isn't. So they're just standing the ground. But I can't speak for every regiment. So I do know there's a large portion of the Royal Marines that are watching my podcast and that, so they're learning a lot.
Yeah.
But
I mean, these are guys who, you think if you really value your health, you'd figure you know what goes in your body. Absolutely. And you'd take a weight approach and say, well, I survived COVID, so I'll take a wait and see approach. I mean, to natural immunity. Why isn't it conferred natural immunity from actually getting the virus itself? Like why never talk about that as being a thing?
no, and it's immunity is always biology 101 when we were at school, wasn't it? Like, and it seems to have just been, like many other things, completely eradicated. But you can't make money from natural immunity, can you? So it's the same as most things. It's you can't bottle it up and sell it, natural immunity. So it's I mean, we know how much money has to play here when a qualified doctor or your so-called GP that's supposed to be out for your best interest and do no harm still tells you must go get the vaccine, even though you've had, the actual disease. So again, it just goes to show you how much of a vicious, vile circle being spun by dollars and pounds this is. I honestly can't wait. I literally, and I know it's going to happen. I cannot wait for the day when we start seeing doctors, nurses, medical professionals, scientists, people in the media paying for these crimes. I genuinely can't. I'm genuinely, I sometimes lie there at night thinking about those days. Oh, seem to have lost Steve again. He's gone all quiet again. You got someone watching you, Steve. Yeah, seems like your sound's gone, mate. Again, mate. This is what you need to learn some military hand signals. Oh, no, sound's still gone. Yeah, absolutely, Lisa. Censoring it is fine. It's censoring live. Oh, hey guys. Now I'm on the show on my own. Nah, it's still not letting you, mate. Are you are you calling in from like the most northern part of the country? No. No. Do you want me? Do you want me to? Do you want me to? Because we were only going to look at an hour anyway. Do you want me to sign off the show for you? Oh, he signed himself off. Isn't that?
Am I back?
Oh, you're back. Yeah, you are.
No, nobody signs off my show. But do you know what? I think you would have done a great job of that there. Listen, I had one wee thing to ask you very, very quickly. Apologies for that. That's never happened before. That's really, really weird. But never mind. We're back, and we're going to wrap up. You were talking about Peter McCulloch. I'm a big fan of. You were saying something about what he was doing. Could you finish on that, and then I'll wrap up for us?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously going on as many shows as possible, and I've actually put a call out, which I'm hoping is going to happen soon. I'm not making any promises, but it's likely that I'm going to get Peter McCulloch, Rainer Fulmish, and Dr. Mike Yeadon on the same podcast to do some kind of like cross-examination, like he's been doing from a legal point of view, because it's all gathering massive evidence. Now you see a lot of people that are out there going, "Where's Rainer Fulmish? What's he doing? Where's Nuremberg 2.0?" And I think people are expecting to see some big courtroom with loads of white helmets in there, and like it was in the 40s. It's not like that at all. Obviously, we're in different times, and what Ryan is actually doing is he's doing all of these interviews and cross-examinations to be used completely in what will probably have to be like a military tribunal or a proper public inquiry, because he doesn't trust even people in the international criminal courts, because he thinks they're complicit as well. So it's basically finding the best solution to have the biggest impact.
Yeah, well, these interviews are very important, AJ, and I'm going to post to all our members about your Facebook group, about your podcast, about your website, and regularly share the information that you're sharing. So any interviews that you're getting, we'll make sure that we share them, and we'll make sure that we, let our members know how they can connect with you and find out more about what you're doing. But listen, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you. I mean, we could chat a lot more. We try and talk about as many sort of solutions as possible. I think we've covered quite a few things there that sound as if there's some ideas in action, which is the name of the game. So it's been an absolute pleasure, AJ. You and I chatted, as I said, the first time the other week there, and it was a great conversation we had. And I know we'll be chatting often on this, but I'm a big follower of your work in our groups. You've got a big fan base there. We're going to make sure that that's expanded and more people follow what you're doing. You're doing some amazing work, my friend. Absolutely amazing, and it is appreciated. Thanks. And you've given up pretty much everything to focus on this. You're fighting. You're putting your money where your mouth is, and you could go out there, forget about what's going on, and make a lot of money just now just doing your consultancy business, and you're not doing that. You're out serving, you're out doing things that's not paying you money, and you're working on various ways that you've got to put food on the table, if you like, but you're giving up a bigger earning potential to focus on this. So
absolutely, mate. I mean, exactly that, mate. I've pretty much pushed my business to the side, and I'm pretty much all in on this. And I haven't earned any money from what I'm doing. I don't make any money from the podcast. It's I don't have a sponsor for it. I think in the last year I've probably forked out about 20 grand of my own money. To get around, doing all like talks, setting things up, travel expense, like everything, over the last year at least. So yeah, you're right, but it's not really. There's no option for me. Like that, I don't sit back and go, oh, actually, because money at the end of the day, money's just a digit when it is nothing compared to the grand scheme of things of what we're potentially facing. So I don't see it as an option to think any way different. And the people that I'm working with are in exactly the same mindset, which makes it an extremely powerful set of people. However, if anyone wants to donate, an Audi R8 so I can get from A to B quicker, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, I'm all in as well, and there's a lot of people all in, and I think more people will be all in. And once we're all in, then this is when it stops. So we will get there in the end. I think we're in for a little bumpy ride, but that's fine. We're hardened now.
People
And
got
our
to remember to
membership,
live, though, mate. This is the
yeah,
thing. That's my biggest message. Is like I've put everything aside. Like, my missus says at least every day, like, "Oh, there you are. Oh,
yeah,
you still live. You still live here." Like, you know what I mean? Because I'm in here doing podcasts, doing this, doing that, like meetings, meeting face to faces, all this kind of stuff. But that aside, you got to think of what drives you. What's your intent? What's your objective? Like, what's your purpose more than anything? And I've really honed in on my purpose, and my purpose is to, like, actively impact as many people on this planet as possible and empower them to do great things.
yeah,
Like, that is literally my mission from the minute I get up in the morning to the minute I
yeah.
lay my head. And if people can hone in on that and think about what's their intent, what's their actual purpose, you'll actually really, really focus on living. You know what I mean? And then understand, like, what a fucking time to be alive.
Yeah, and I know, AJ, when you say that, you mean it, because I've read and I've watched, and I know that you're saying that completely honestly, and that's great, and it's brilliant to hear, and it's good, and it's comforting to have you out there, fighting hard, So you're doing a great job, mate. Really, really pleased that we've connected. I'm looking forward to doing more work with you, and I'm sure we're going to do some great things. So thank you to everybody tonight. It's been great. What a great audience tonight. A lot of people tuned in for that, and we'll get more people who watch the repeats. They don't always get in on time. They're putting the kids to bed and all that stuff. So a lot of people will watch it over the next days and weeks, and this will run and run, as they say, AJ. A lot of people will watch that. But let's chat after this, and we'll figure out some more plans, and we'll focus your and my energy on how we can work together, and the synergies there that we can use to create more solutions for people, because we need to move through the rest of this year and get to a better year in 2022. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody for coming along. It's been absolutely great, and yeah, absolute pleasure, AJ. You're top man.
Cheers, guys. Thank you, guys. Cheers for tuning in.